The 1960s begin with a twist. The decade will end
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
with a man on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1961, Dwight Eisenhower passes the presidency to John F. Kennedy, the first president born in the 20th century.
The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
John finishes work on his degree in industrial relations in August of 1961. Employers are not eagerly awaiting his entry into the job market.
They had the draft at the time, and I was classified as 1A, which meant I was ready to be called into the service for 2 years to be sent somewhere. Almost everybody got called. It made it difficult to get a job. A lot of employers would not hire you because, hey, you're 1A, you know. We hire you and start to train you, you could be gone the next week, you know, or 2 weeks. So anyhow, I ended up enlisting in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, and I think I served 8 months active duty or something.
The young couple lives with John's parents, Dorothy and Henry McQuiston, in this house in Devon, Pennsylvania, while John sees active duty. During this time, they get to develop a closer relationship with John's parents.
Dad was my buddy, you know, by the way. I used to play golf with him on the weekends. See, my brothers, they both got married right out of college, and they didn't have the time to spend with him that I got to do.
Dorothy McQuiston is a woman of many artistic talents.
She really never took any lessons. She just could play.
And she paints.
She started painting after my father retired, and they would go on trips. They'd go to Myrtle Beach because he liked to fish, or they'd go to the Eastern Shore of Maryland where you could fish, and she would sit. She'd go fishing, but she didn't care for it that much. So she started to paint then.
Even after John leaves the service and finds a job and he and Gay move out on their own, they wait to begin a family.
We had waited 5 years to have children.
Well, maybe we had sense enough to know that we were not very mature, you know, and we also didn't have any money.
Neither one of us were ready to have kids. I mean, we were barely ready to be married, let alone have children when we got married, so I'm very glad that we waited.
John goes to work for Atlantic Richfield, recruiting people to operate its tire dealerships.
I was good at it. The territory that they put me in there in York, I had 29 stations when I took over, and half of them were closed. They had no people operating them. And of course, they had financing programs to put people in and all that kind of stuff. When I left, it was a year and a half after that, 29 stations were operating and none of them were financed. So I learned that, hey, if you learn your story and you tell it right, you can make a living selling stuff. We lived in York, Pennsylvania then because that was the first one of the territories I had.
It is an era when people begin working for a company and stay there their entire careers. If John thinks that's going to happen with Atlantic, he soon learns otherwise.
I don't know, Atlantic sent me some kind of a letter that said, gee, you're doing such a wonderful job and we love what you do, except we don't have any money right now for a raise for you. So I looked for another job. I was on vacation, I guess, down in Philadelphia, and Goodrich had an ad in the newspaper. And I went to see them, and they were looking for people for the retail store manager program. And that's not what I was looking for. I wanted outside sales because I did tend to be an extrovert. And, I'm going to say 3 months later, maybe, I was still working for Atlantic. 3 months later, Goodrich called up and he said, we're looking for a wholesale salesman. Are you interested? And so that's how I ended up going to work for Goodrich.
But before then, tragedy strikes without warning in 1965. April 9th, the day before his 59th birthday, Henry McQuiston dies suddenly.
Yeah, he had the company physical, and they told him he was fit as a fiddle. And he went home and died the next day in a chair.
A heart attack is believed to have killed him. Though she will live until 1998, a part of John's mother, Dorothy, dies with Henry.
When he died, she wouldn't paint anymore. Said, I quit. My critic is gone. I'm not going to paint it. We could never get her to paint again.
John is only 25 at the time.
I don't want to say that it was any harder on me than it was on any of my brothers, but he was my buddy.